Hey, Chris Lipe here. I keep getting requests for this, and lots of other personalities on YouTube have done it. I figure it's about time I do it too. Here is my analysis of Where Did You Sleep Last Night? Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, live, and Blast from the Past, and kind of weird. A long time ago, I just looked, it was 11 years ago, which for me is a long time ago, I did a cover of this song for a guitar lesson that I did. And I thought, it'd be fun for you guys to hear that. So you can follow the link in the description and hear me doing, it's not the greatest quality, but you can hear me doing this cover. It's kind of neat how it turned out, especially for all those years ago, before I really knew what I was doing in some ways. Also, if you'd like more help with your own vocals, you'd like me to come alongside you and be your vocal coach, help you experiment with some of the ways that you see me using my voice in some of these analyses, click the other link below and join my free voice course. There's lots of ways that we can work together from there, and that's the best place to start. So, let's watch this. It's been a long time since I've seen this, so it's almost a cold reaction because I don't really remember it that well, but not really. I have seen it before. Here we go.
My favorite performer. Our favorite performer, isn't it? All of ours? You like him the best?
I love how flippant he is
Guy representing the Lead Belly estate
when he
wants to
talks.
sell me Lead Belly's guitar for $500,000. Yeah.
It comes across in his
I
singing.
would guess him personally if he'd buy it for me. He wouldn't do it. Okay.
I'd just like to point out, and yes, I need to stop it so that my video doesn't get taken down. I need to take breaks. I'm sorry. I want to be able to stop it less also. But so I'm going to use this these opportunities to actually provide some sort of value. Notice his guitar playing is flippant and imprecise and not the best. And yet, this has millions of views and is regarded as one of his greatest live performances. We don't need to be perfect. We don't even need to be close to perfect. We need to be emotive and expressive. Keep that in mind as we watch more.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, when did you sleep last night? In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night through. My girl, where will you go?
Where will you go? Where will my... This is a big part of his singing, and you hear it more in this setting than you do in other areas. But this is part of what makes him so relaxed. He's not engaged in one type of voice. He's letting himself go in and out of different resonances. And you can even see on his face when he first starts, he's kind of focused on his guitar playing, his jaw moving a little bit. That's fine. But he's kind of deadpan, right? La, 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 la. He didn't, if you notice, he didn't like start performing and immediately, my girl, it doesn't look like he's concentrating. He's becoming immersed in what he's doing. This is the only way that we can freely express. So good.
I'm going where the cold wind blows. In the pines, the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night through. Her husband was a hard-working man, just about a mile from here.
So many cracks.
His head was found in a driving wheel, but his body never was found.
Listen to that last placement, right? Body never was found. How long everything is? We kind of get this idea that in how he sang, because he was a very nasal, he allowed a lot of nasal resonance to happen with his voice. We miss the fact that he really sang with an open airway in not all the time, but a lot of times. Never was found. He's not never was found all the time. The point is, though, that's not wrong either. We need to remember that one of the things that made Kurt so great, even live, was that he was experimenting with all sorts of sounds, all sorts of ways to play with his voice. And that's one reason his voice is so interesting.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night through.
Love the instrumentation. Such an amazing vibe.
My girl, where will you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows.
Notice how conversational he is. I'm going where the cold... Remember, I talked about him being deadpan, but he cuts off his phrase. He's not cutting it off. He's allowing his phrases to be short. This is part of really being attentive to the dynamics around him. He's not just plowing through this and getting through another verse. He's coming down in dynamics, and a big part of that is how he phrases his words. Not and makes these shorter notes. It's easy to miss this stuff if you don't really intentionally listen. And it's important that we listen to this stuff for our own voice, because being dynamic is more than just being quiet or loud. It's about placement. It's about how you say your words. It's about how long your words or your notes are, how you're phrasing.
In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine, I would shiver the whole night through. My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night? In the pines, where the sun don't ever shine.
Okay, this is so good sounding coming off of where he just was, right? Let's talk about his posture, his compression. Sounds so cool.
My girl, don't lie to me.
Let's get there. My girl, don't lie to me. Now, I wanted to start clean. I wanted to get those pitches, get them familiar, clean in my body right now. Not yesterday, I could sing those clean yesterday, but right now, how does my voice feel? And then build the compression, build the grit, and all these things on top of it. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do before I just start pushing harder and harder, because even he doesn't look like he's pushing that hard. He looks free as he's doing it. Yeah, there's a bit more energy behind it, but he's not going all out. There's this sense of sort of disconnected ambivalence. So, my girl! Now, I'm going to take the subtractive approach to getting my grit first. In other words, I'm not going to add a bunch of energy to it. I'm going to let my voice fall apart first. I'm going to accept what happens. My girl! I'm pulling support a little bit and playing with my airflow and letting my voice crack. And you can even hear it in his own performance. There's little bits of pure head voice coming in here and there. My girl! I kind of sound like a dying goat. My girl! Don't you lie to me! Comes in and out. The point is, though, I'm working with faltering along my vocal break and feeling that balance out before I just start pushing. The other way doesn't work as well, and it burns you out really quick because we have this idea that, now we're screaming. Now we're going to be really, yeah! You're going to burn your voice out too much if you just start pushing, okay? Let's build on it now. Now that we have felt the faltering, we're going to lean in to the faltering. Okay, I'm telling you, this is what it takes. You'll be able to dial it in quicker and quicker. My girl, don't lie to me. What I'm doing is I'm gradually adding in a bit more compression. We've talked about this in other Kurt Cobain videos and all other videos. Lifting something heavy. But I'm doing it after I've let myself fall apart. And then feeling that airflow bounce. You want more help with compression? Search my YouTube videos. Don't lie to me! My girl! Don't lie to me! Now I realize that doesn't sound that consistent yet, but it's getting more consistent. I also realize that my pitch isn't as constant as his yet. That's okay. We're still feeling these balances out. My girl! Don't lie to me! Now, there's a huge amount of calmness in the midst of what I just did, as opposed to this. My girl! Don't lie to me! That is strained and hopefully oblivious to what's actually going on in my body. I said hopefully, I meant hopelessly oblivious. I can't possibly sustain that level of grit and intensity if I'm all like this. I have to embrace the chaos of it first. My girl, don't lie to me. And then also embrace the little nuances that happen in my voice as I'm letting it fall apart. That's what he's doing. He's just really good at it. Really good at it. But you can hear there's imperfections there that he leans into, just as I'm learning to do as I balance. So take my word on this. Let's keep going.
My girl, don't lie to me. Tell me, where did you sleep last night?
Yeah, I love the last.
In the clouds, where the sun don't ever shine. I would shiver the whole night through. My girl, where you go? I'm going where the cold wind blows.
You hear those little... He's letting himself access that head voice. Going where the cold wind blows. There's all sorts of freedom in realizing that you're not stuck in one resonance. Also, there's times where you don't hear much pitch. You hear mostly grit. One other thing, though, there's a lot of nasality going on here. Don't ignore it simply because you feel like you sound stupid when you create nasal resonance. Pine, yeah, nasal going. Ooh. Write those down. When you stumble upon something that feels cool and sounds cool, as you play with nasality, as you play with these different ways to moderate air and placement, come back to those. Practice in short increments, though, so you don't hurt your voice while you're trying to dial these things in. Yeah. So there's some key elements here from a vocal budgeting standpoint. Notice how he kind of started pacing himself there. Yeah, right? He started singing it not in a way that he would if it was very rote, but there was some improvisation that was going on that also allowed him to shorten up, preserve a little bit of energy so that he could be a bit more tender and intentional on the decline of the intensity, right? He had command over his voice. He was reclaiming a bit of control over his voice. Listen to this again. Now right there, his voice did what it did, and he leaned into it. Shiver! He let himself go into it. Did he go, oh, my voice is giving out a little bit. I better stop. I better redo it. No, this is the mark of a good vocalist and a good performer. His voice started to give out a little bit there. He backed off a little bit. The pines, the shiver. Okay, and then playing on the sensations that are in his throat at that moment. Oh, night through. You can see him sort of like feeling things out in the same consciousness that he is delivering this performance. He's both performing and introspecting at the same time based on what he's letting his voice do. Not forcing, letting. So key. I want to also say that, and I say this in almost all my videos, you won't sound like Kurt Cobain. That's okay. I don't sound like Kurt Cobain. The point of analyzing stuff like this is not to sound like Kurt Cobain. It is to learn from his performance, intuition, and expertise, what he does with his voice and why. Even if we're wrong about it, it doesn't matter. What are we learning about our own voice in the process? Do not buy into, well, I don't sound like Kurt Cobain, or I don't sound when you won't sound good when you're experimenting. You're learning. Let yourself learn. Don't put yourself in a position to compare yourself to Kurt Cobain while you're doing it. Hopefully this has been helpful, not your typical reaction, but helping us really appreciate where he comes from as a live performer specifically. I've covered a decent amount of Kurt Cobain on the channel, but not from a live perspective. Again, click that link below, join my free course if you want more help with your voice. We'll see you for more.